So, Luke, are you there?
Hello.
All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and get our bio for Luke here. So Luke has been the IT point of sale specialist at Second Cup for 2+ years, and he oversees the implementation of all of the new cafes. Luke, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi. Yeah, I'm Luke. I do all of our point of sale software stuff and manage all of those machines, and also everything with new store openings. A lot of that is all the setup of all the devices, point of sale, network, everything. Even making sure that the phone lines are installed and cross-connected.
Wow, so complete oversight there.
Yeah.
So you guys have a very, very large network, 360 cafes across Canada right now, and 13 different corporate headquarters, but just 8 people on your IT team managing all of these networks.
That's correct.
And so all across Canada. So we'll actually look at an overview of Luke's network, and we can actually see all of the different sites that they're managing. So I wanted to take a second and talk about what the Second Cup IT team ran into and Luke ran into with their previous network and why they were looking for a new type of solution. Luke, do you want to tell us about how your network used to be and some of the issues you would run into?
Sure. So actually, our solution was an HP Coolabris solution, and it was managed by a third party. They provided free Wi-Fi for advertising. So it was all third party managed because our IT department was basically deemed too small to handle all the wireless networks across the country. To make matters worse, it was all an ad hoc setup, and everything, if you needed to change, say for instance at a specific site, if you needed to change a device from a static IP address to DHCP, a technician had to go to the site, plug in a computer to the device, and reprogram it. So it was very difficult to manage. When there were issues, it was very difficult. You'd have to have highly trained techs, and that basically wasn't working out for us.
Yeah.
It didn't go so well.
Exactly.
And when we looked at taking it in-house, we wanted to kind of move away from that type of situation for fear that we'd never be able to manage it ourselves.
Wow. Okay, cool. So that's a perfect segue because I wanted to take a second and talk about some of your goals for your new network when you're going to bring the network in-house as opposed to being managed by third parties. But you also had some very big challenges ahead of you. You were growing very, very fast, 20 to 30 new stores every year. So I can imagine you were trying to figure out how you're going to manage all of these sites with your 8 or so IT people on staff.
And also implement it in a very short window of time because our contract with our old provider expired. And it would have been very bad for our business to have no Wi-Fi at all. So
oh, wow.
have something not only, I think we had a 3-month window.
3-month window for bringing on each new store?
Yes.
Okay.
So all 350, switching them was a 3-month window.
Oh, all 350 had to switch in a 3-month window.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a very tight timeline.
Yeah, we were tight for time there.
Yes, absolutely. So you looked at Cisco Meraki's offering, and what appealed to you about the Cisco Meraki solution?
A lot of things. How easy it was to manage, the lack of expertise needed to maintain it. We had gone through our previous setup. We used a lot of Juniper routers and those HP devices, and everything had to be configured on site with plugged into the device. So for instance, if we had a device down, you either need a skilled technician who can plug their laptop into it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot easier to manage. also, you can manage all of your sites from this centralized location.
The deployment was the other big one. So for
Okay.
instance, with the old ones, every time we wanted to deploy a new router or a Wi-Fi device, we basically had to set it up, and we needed somebody that was highly trained in order to do the configuration of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of the time they could set up scripts and stuff, but still, you basically needed very specialized staff. With the Meraki
Right.
stuff, we found that any level 1 run-of-the-mill, anyone that can basically do basic computer level 1 troubleshooting can manage most of the Meraki network, especially with deploying the devices. That is one thing that really sold us, and the reason is for deploying a new device, all you need is the serial number off of the bottom of the device. You just need to capture that, and then you can ship it to the customer with or the end user without even configuring it yet.
Exactly.
You can then, after the fact, just log into the portal at your convenience, punch in that serial number, do a couple little quick basic copy settings, and type in a couple IP addresses, and then the end user just basically plugs it in, and it's up.
Right. And they always have you back at headquarters able to troubleshoot something if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your evaluation of products when you were looking at Meraki. You evaluated some other customers or some other vendors as well. I guess we have Aruba and Arrowhead mentioned here, and then Juniper as well for security appliances.
Yeah, so we do a little more. So we did, like we have a router, a VPN router at all of our stores so that we can connect to all of our point of sale and do monitoring on our debit terminals and stuff. So we always had, we'd always go to one vendor for routers and another vendor for wireless. And all of the solutions we looked at kind of followed that model. We were looking at using a newer Junipers or routers, or looking at Aruba. And we found basically with all of the Wi-Fi vendors that we would have either had to have hired extra people, we would have had to install controllers in a hosting environment. It would have been a lot harder to configure the devices and manage them. So we kind of didn't like that. And the same thing with the Juniper. None of our level 1 people, even with training, could easily set up Juniper. It's even for experienced people, it's a little tricky. There is always constantly people making typos in the VPN private keys, and lots of just stuff being configured wrong and not working.
Cool.
So this allowed us to go with a single solution that tied it all together and made it so any level 1 person could do troubleshooting and implementation of any device.
Excellent. So let's actually talk about, we talked a little bit about your deployment already. Let's talk about your network configuration that you ended up going with. Can you run me through that? You had MR16s, MX60s at each location, or a combination?
Yeah, so we've decided to slowly replace all of our Juniper routers in the field with either MX60 or Z1, or Z1 in Canada, appliance routers. And so all of the, basically the modem plugs into them, and they control all the traffic for the site. We use the MX60 for our busier stores, and Z1 for the smaller stores. So that handles all the VPN and the debits and the point of sale network. And then we have MR16 access points running off of that.
Gotcha.
And then, the next one at our head office, we have the MX400 running as a VPN concentrator.
Okay.
So all of those MX60s and Z1s basically connect to that at our head office, and it allows us to connect and monitor everything.
Very cool. And you VPN from your head office to your other locations if you need to do troubleshooting on your point of sale devices?
Exactly.
Okay, very cool. And on in each store location, are you using the MX60 or the Z1s for traffic shaping if they're having busy high traffic times?
Um, More so, the only time we use the traffic shaping is security cameras.
Okay.
That is very handy. Security cameras really saturate upload bandwidth and can kill your network. That is one of the things that's the big one that we have to watch out for.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because if they're remote, or if they're sometimes if they're watching their cameras remotely, the debit just won't respond.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you actually throttle that down a little bit to
Yeah.
make sure that the other devices have enough bandwidth. And then, let's see, talk to me about your Wi-Fi, your guest Wi-Fi network. How do you have that set up? Do you have splash pages or?
Yeah, so we have this splash page with the terms and conditions, basically just to protect us, and they simply need to press the I agree to the terms and conditions, and they're on. We have this website hosted, just a little web hosting for this, and we were able to customize our own page and put up all of our own stuff on it. But
okay.
in your portal as well, there is you can do the same thing. It just doesn't look
Very
as
cool.
pretty. Doesn't have all of our custom graphics.
Oh, yes. Let's see. I'm getting a couple questions. I just figured I'd shoot these over to you right now since we're mid-sentence. One question came in about what is your primary internet connection method for these stores, or does your equipment sit behind anything else?
Yeah, so that's actually good, because one of the things we found with a lot of the other wireless solutions that we got was a lot of things required a public IP for management, especially our older HP ones. And getting extra multiple static IP addresses at all of our sites was very costly.
Oh, yes, I imagine.
It basically would double the price of DSL.
Wow.
So for most of our stores, we're using 7 meg down, 1 meg up DSL, mostly because DSL's Canada-wide, and you can guarantee it's almost in every one of our stores. And then for some of our stores in city centers, we've been installing cable. And we weren't able to actually use cable before because we couldn't manage our Wi-Fi because it didn't have a public IP address. Well, it's very hard to get extra IP addresses with cable.
Right.
So a combination. So it's basically just end consumer level.
Okay. And that goes directly into the MX.
Yep.
All right, very cool. And then let's see, another question someone had is store traffic routed back to corporate, meaning do the stores have a local connection to the ISP or route back to corporate? So I think we kind of touched on this.
Oh, so we have a split tunnel. So they just, like we have a business intelligence portal that they upload stuff to, but they don't connect. It's not a two-way VPN, it's a one-way. So the VPN only comes up when we try to troubleshoot something or connect into them.
Perfect.
And the reason we do that is because if traffic has to go through a VPN, it kind of shrinks the packet size and it can cause issues with debit.
Oh, for MTU?
Well, most of the debit terminals don't work if they have problems if you can't have 1400 or higher MTU.
I see.
And we've had that as a common issue. So VPNs kind of shrink your packet size and gave us all kinds of headaches.
I see.
So that's why when
Definitely
we implemented the Meraki, we got rid of the two-way VPN and did a split tunnel.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thanks for going. I think we'll hold some of the questions till the end here or in the demo. So thanks for the questions out there. Keep them coming. All right. So results from your network, and we've definitely touched on a bunch of these points already, but centralized management and definitely troubleshooting simplified. And you were even telling me when we spoke earlier, this has really helped you cost savings wise because you have less IT staff that you need to have, and you don't have to send techs on site quite as much.
And even then, when you do need people, they don't need to be as skilled. For instance, with a Juniper, you might need a skilled technician with a laptop who can plug into it and knows how to find the logs and stuff. Now you can basically, as long as we have anyone that's hands and eyes on site, it's a piece of cake.
Absolutely. Very cool. And then finally, one more question, just since we're kind of on this subject as well. How did you pick the locations for MX60 versus the Z1s? Just size-wise, how much traffic they were seeing?
Yeah, we have a lot of it we base on the number of transactions, and we kind of look at how much traffic certain stores have, and usually with that the Wi-Fi usage correlates. So basically, our busier stores, the sales are higher. You can quickly see that the Wi-Fi traffic's higher. So anything we were worried or maybe, the MX60 can handle a lot more. So just for our most demanding sites.
Very cool. And then let's see, scalability we've definitely talked about, especially since you deployed all of these sites in 3 months. It's pretty amazing. And then customer engagement. You get compliments about your Wi-Fi service?
Oh, definitely. Especially during the transition period, we had several customers that would email us saying, what did you guys do? I used to come here every day, and it was horrible, and you just fixed it. Please please keep this. And when we were testing it, we had our old Wi-Fi still active.
Oh, okay.
We called our SSIDs Second Cup Meraki Beta. So we had all these customers say, please take the beta live. we got like 3 to 5 a week.
Wow.
And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So our customers definitely really love them.
Very cool. Let's see. Sorry, one more question, since we're getting lots of questions for you, Luke. With 7 meg DSL, how many guests does that generally support?
It depends what they're doing on the site. If it's a store full of people and every single person's watching YouTube, it's not going to work so great. It all depends. For some sites, we just have to upgrade them, and others. But 7 seems pretty good if it's normal for the normal store size that we have. For our debit traffic is almost nothing. Our point of sale traffic is almost nothing. So really, the only thing at our sites that's using heavy bandwidth at all is Wi-Fi. So of that 7 megs, most of it's sitting there available for Wi-Fi.
Gotcha.
So it's at some stores we would definitely. And we do cable at a lot of those because we can get, 25, 30 megs from some of them.
I see. Okay. And then since we were talking about capacity here, how do you plan for larger stores? Do you ever use multiple access points at some of these locations, or generally the same setup?
There's a couple. So during our initial evaluation of Meraki 2, we decided that we were going to give you all of our worst stores to start out.
Okay.
So we chose the ones, these ones have the highest number of problem tickets. There's one in particular, a couple in Montreal, where they're like student apartment buildings next to our store.
Oh, wow.
And literally everyone who lives there uses the Wi-Fi at home. So, and that one, there's a couple stores there where once you start getting up to 40-plus users, we found we'd need a second MR16 or a bigger device.
Gotcha.
But for us, it's only a few stores that need more than one, like maybe 5 at best.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thank you for that.
No problem.
And then let's see, the future of Second Cup. So I wanted to touch on what you're looking to do, expanding. You're obviously expanding location-wise, but anything else that you're looking to implement across your network?
Yeah, so I guess the big one here is built into the Meraki portal is a systems management tool that allows you to manage remote computers. As we're rolling out our new point-of-sale software to be on Windows XP, so what we're looking at doing is installing the Meraki systems agent in our default point-of-sale device. And that means that we'll be able to VNC into every single point-of-sale terminal we have directly from the Meraki portal.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
And the other benefit of that is by default, VNC isn't PCI compliant because usually it's only one-factor authentication to get into VNC. So because the Meraki portal, you can turn on two-factor authentication, it'll allow us to, use VNC in a PCI compliant way.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah, so basically we'll be able to manage everything from the portal almost.
Wow, that's excellent. And then also potentially looking at upgrading your point-of-sale devices. Are these the ones you're talking about that you're going to be using Systems Manager on?
Yes.
Okay. And then finally, presence analytics potentially?
Oh yeah, we're very excited about that. As we do more on our point-of-sale, we're finding, our point-of-sale systems all upload to a central database, all of our sales so that we can do analysis, but everything's sales-based, and we're really loving the features of the Presence API with the business analytics, and we really want to incorporate that into our database so that we can cross-reference marketing promotions against them. So for instance, in that you can see the Meraki portal will keep track of how many new devices it sees versus how many it recognizes. So say, for instance, if we run a national radio advertising campaign, we could quickly see whether week over week, whether the amount of new devices seen in the Meraki portal has increased.
Right.
And with that, we can then judge whether our marketing promotions are working well better than we could with just sales.
Right.
Because with just sales data, it could just be that it's a bad year or the weather's different. So we find
a lot
that
of factors there.
There are. So we found that that is another source of big data that is going to really help us.
Very cool. And then, yeah, for those people on the line that are not familiar, Presence Analytics, we'll show this in the demo. It actually tracks the clients that are associated to the Wi-Fi, but also those that aren't associated just from probe requests that are coming from Wi-Fi devices. So it allows us to track how many devices are near our access points. So we'll look at some of the data that we can get from that information. So I think actually it's time to go ahead and jump into our demo. So I have previously pulled up, I'm going to have to log in again here. Looks like I've been logged out. I'm going to jump into the Second Cup network and check out some of Luke's sites here. Perfect, and here it is. So locations all across Canada. You can see where the larger concentrations are. 153 networks in the Toronto area, 47 up in Edmonton. So we can actually zoom in to any of these and start to manage the network. So this is the overview page for the Meraki dashboard. For those of you who have never seen it before. So we can, this is actually Luke's live network, and we can actually find the real-time information about what's happening with all of the traffic here. So we can use this tool on the right to expand and look at the 398 different networks, or we can zoom in to a particular location and you can see these shields kind of spread out, and we could go ahead and jump into any of these areas here and start checking out the different networks. And I actually got one question, can you actually manage the Wi-Fi devices from home? And absolutely,
yeah.
This is what we're doing right now.
I do it from my cell phone too. I can do all this.
You do?
Yeah.
That's excellent. I love to hear those actual
yeah,
uses
yeah.
stories. worries.
And it's funny, the ones that are down, I actually know them. 9351, we had a flood there.
Really?
9420, there's a problem with the external phone line, so I didn't look at this today, but I was aware of all those.
Oh my goodness! So you know these.
Yeah,
So you have
yeah.
5
Are
little
down,
issues
yeah.
happening right
They
right
are,
now.
yeah.
So we could go into those, and Luke could tell us how he might troubleshoot. But it sounds like you already are aware of all of these things here. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into. I think I've actually. Well, I was going to pull up a couple of different networks. You'd mentioned one to me.
Yeah, 9580 is the...
I'm sorry? Oh, 9580.
9580. That's the best to start.
9580.
And
okay, so this is
router?
a Z1.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just pick it here, and it'll jump into that network. Here we are.
Yeah, and then go to the appliance status.
Okay.
That's one I want to talk about.
Perfect.
Okay, so this one was, and if you could go back on the network data, see where it says for 12 hours, go back to...
Oh, I'm sorry?
It says network data for 12 hours, rate an inch above.
Oh, right here, right here.
Yeah,
yes.
go back
okay.
Maybe for 1 week.
Okay.
I just want to see when we implemented it. So I have a good story about this one.
All right. See how that loads up. I think we're all set.
Oh, can you, and then maybe go back 1 day on the arrow. Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay.
One more. I think it was the 14th. The 14th we installed it.
Oh, here
there we go. Okay, so if you go to the red spot, it's going to say gateway warning IP conflict on uplink. So, okay, so 2 things here. This one, we just shipped this out to a device that had a problem with their Juniper.
Okay.
So we had a technician on site, and we shipped him to the device. So from the left, I could watch him on the ports, and it shows when he plugged a cable in. So I can see that, obviously the modem's plugged in on the internet port.
Right.
I watched him as he plugged in the switch, and I saw him plug it in because it pops up green. And then he plugged in the manager's office LAN 4. But this device, there was a problem in the modem config. And what happened was there was an IP address conflict. Immediately the portal, I could see that in the portal, even though the device was completely down and offline and I could not access it.
Very cool.
I could still see what was wrong. Before, if that happened with a Juniper, he would have had to have pulled out a laptop, connected to it, gone into the logs, which is kind of tricky, and tried to figure out what was happening. Or we would have had to unplug everything and plug it in one by one until we figured out what the problem was. But with this, I saw it's an IP conflict, and within 3 seconds, I popped in, reconfigured the modem to its proper setup, and it was up and running.
Oh, wow. And you were able to see that from the IP information that popped up?
Yeah, from the portal here without the device even being online. It was completely offline.
That's pretty cool.
We were also able, if a device is offline and you are unable to log into the modem and it's a dynamic IP, you can see that it gives you, to the left here, the gateway IP of the modem. So you're able, we could now just go into a command prompt and type ping and that IP address, and it'll tell me whether the modem's on. So if you, static IPs cost a lot more money, like often $15+ a month per IP, which over 300 stores adds up very quickly.
That's a lot, yeah.
So you're able to, the last IP of the modem the last time it was online, regardless of whether the router is online or offline.
Very cool. That's a pretty neat application, actually.
It's great.
Yeah. Very cool. And so for those people on the phone that are not familiar, this is our Z1 appliance. So it actually has Wi-Fi and security appliance built into a single device. And so we were able to utilize just this one device for a single store as opposed to having a separate MX security appliance and
well,
Wi-Fi.
we do separate for this one.
Oh, you do as well?
Yeah, well, we turn off the Wi-Fi on it and use the MRC.
I see. Okay.
And we're just using it strictly as a router, but it does have that.
Very cool. So yeah, you could use it either way then.
Yeah.
All right.
We might look at that in the future for kiosks, though. That would be a good one for that.
Oh, yeah, to have,
an all-in-one little box for a kiosk. That might work.
yeah, absolutely, for smaller stores yet, or um, or to have 2 access points running.
Oh, just, yeah, with the one. So, yeah, right
Just
now
the
we
one?
use the Z1 as the router,
Okay.
and then the
Yeah,
MR16.
gotcha.
So if you go 9580, there's also a Wi-Fi link for it as well.
I see. Okay, right. And here we could find that
So that's their
Wi-Fi.
MR16 Wi-Fi device running.
Perfect. Okay. And then you had another issue that you wanted to point out how you were able to troubleshoot. I think it
Sure,
was
yeah.
9665.
Yeah.
See, and it's
Yeah,
the
and the
router you
router
were
one,
talking about.
yeah. And then the same window appliance status.
Okay.
And go to the same thing, like go to a weak view and you're going to see red show up.
Okay.
I might have to go back a bit. So you see there's all kinds of red here.
Mm-hmm.
What ended up happening was there was a bad debit terminal that was knocking down the entire network, I think because it had a short in it.
Oh, okay.
So for instance, having this whole history and details of it, when somebody raised the issue where you don't even have to look up previous tickets and what other technicians have said, you can just see what's been going on really quickly. So when somebody said, oh, it's just a switch or a cable that's causing the problem, I was able to see quickly that no, the whole router has been going offline, so something's knocking off the whole network.
Wow.
So it kind of like with previous setup, we would have had to go into the ticketing tool, and I would have had to look what everyone else has done. Also with our Junipers, every time you reboot them, the logs reset.
Oh, wow.
So here you just kind of, you can go through and see, oh, there's a red spot, oh, no connectivity, and you can really figure it out quickly and easily, the whole history of what's been going on at that site.
Do you use the event log?
A little.
Bit?
We use the health status a lot more, though.
Okay.
And then using the red spots on just mousing over the red spots, we find that is the quickest.
Very cool.
Yeah, and yeah.
Okay. And then
Now, with the same thing with the MR16 Wi-Fi, when it has errors like those, like where the red bars come up, it actually changes the SSID name to reflect the problem that you're having.
Really?
So if it was an MR16 Wi-Fi device at the site and it was having that exact same problem, the SSID would get renamed from Second Cup Wi-Fi to Second Cup Wi-Fi IP conflict or Second Cup Wi-Fi bad gateway. So even your customers can see what's wrong. It makes it a lot easier if they say, hey, we're at a store, Wi-Fi doesn't work, and it says SSID, no gateway. It really helps.
That's pretty cool. I like that your customers are able to see
that
as well. All right, finally, the last one here, your Wi-Fi gets 9390.
Yeah, so this is our worst Wi-Fi site in Canada. They built their store next to a couple satellite towers. The amount of interference here is pretty crazy. So I forget what tab, if it's on the access. Yeah, go to the access points tab. And aside from just, and then click on the device. Now, I think this one was recently added, but scroll down. There's a spot, there's a spot where it shows you, maybe down at all the way to the bottom.
Oh, in channel utilization?
No, go down to the bottom further. Just on that. Oh, yeah, so there's a channel utilization history.
Okay.
So this is a site where there's huge amounts of interference, but it's not constant. So they might call us and say, hey, no one can connect to Wi-Fi, and we look at it and there's no issue. Like channel utilization is low, doesn't seem to be anything wrong. But with this graph, you can see, well, there's none there now, but sometimes like maybe 6 to 7 p.m. there will be a massive spike, and maybe that'll happen every day. So aside from being able to see what's going on with the channel utilization tools and spectrum analysis, it also logs it. So you can see, hey, what was going on what was going on last night. And actually, we've fixed most of the problems at this site, so the spikes aren't as bad now. But it's really great being able to see that what's been happening as far as interference in the past.
And what did you find were the issues?
Well, we ended up there's just massive amounts of environmental interference. But basically, with a call to the help desk, they were able to lower the power output of the device.
Gotcha.
So it kind of made it a stronger, more localized, stronger connection, and was able to fix the issues.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And then a couple other questions coming in for you, Luke. One is, do you use multiple SSIDs at your site? So we can actually jump into that and see your SSIDs you have configured here.
Yeah, so we aren't now, but we've talked about this and thought about it. Our old wireless provider used to, the part of the reason they were able to provide us with free Wi-Fi and manage it free was they did SSID advertising for Rogers.
Oh, okay.
They're a major Canadian telco, kind of like AT&T or whoever.
Yeah.
So they had a second SSID on all their devices that said, AT&T Wi-Fi, and then AT&T or whoever would, they did some advertising through that. The other thing that we've thought about adding a second one is maybe one just for staff or head office staff, and we even thought about making a second hidden one, just so if you're from head office and you need to do work somewhere, you can get full unrestricted use. Won't kick you off after a certain amount of time. So that's another. So we don't yet, but we might in the future.
Very cool. And then, so you have this one as visible. It's not hidden.
Yeah, just the second Wi-Fi one.
Okay,
yeah.
so perfect. And so then you do have a click-through splash page.
Yeah.
I'll just show your configuration here. So this is the overview page for the different SSIDs, and then you can click into access control and configure how you would like users to associate. And here this one is open because you want users that don't need a password to be able to log on or any type of radius credentials here. And then you have your click-through splash page selected here. And I also got a question about how you can personalize a splash page through Meraki. Someone had asked that question, so I'll just show you here. There's actually a splash page settings page, and I can go to this window here, and you can select from these different themes and set your custom logo. Here, Second Cup has been inserted here, so that would pop up on that splash page, any messages and so forth.
Yeah, and we, you see here, we did our own. We wanted to customize it a little further.
Okay, yeah.
We even just provide a link, and then the instructions in the Meraki portal for how to do that are really simple. They even give you all the code. When they say, like, when you write your page, just, basically it's a cut and paste the code in so that when you click the button, it tells them the Meraki device that, yes, they clicked on the button.
Oh, very cool.
So basically, you guys have already done all the customization work. It's just a matter of copying and pasting that into your own website, and then basically just hosting it, providing a link, and then making sure that it's in your wall, that they can access it before they've authenticated.
Very cool. Yeah, and then you just provide your...
But the built-in one was pretty nice, too, but we wanted to customize it a little.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. That's good. Let's see. And then last thing I definitely wanted to show, because I got a question specifically on it, it was on how do you configure traffic shaping and how do you track clients on the guest network. So let me try to address a couple of those. If we actually, if you wanted to track clients on your guest network, we're in the Wi-Fi, looking at an access point right now. So I'll just go to monitor and then clients. And this will actually bring up all of the associated clients for a wireless network right now. And if you had multiple APs, it would actually combine them here. Since there's only one access point on this network right now, we're getting the 9 clients that are currently connected. And Meraki actually does something that's pretty neat that's called client fingerprinting. So we actually are able to look at all the traffic, and we do actually layer 7 deep packet inspection, and in order to learn about the clients that are connected. So we could actually find out the manufacturer, all sorts of little tidbits of information, IP address, MAC address, manufacturer description, and also the host name of the device by looking at 802.1x authentication requests, web browser user agents, DHCP requests, so all sorts of things. We're able to create this profile about each of the devices. So great for BYOD type of situations, and great here so that the IT administrators can learn about the devices that are connecting to their network, and also learn about the type of traffic that's being used here. So we can actually see all of the different applications that are being used. We can expand this out, and you see here a lot of social web, music, and video. And if Luke, for instance, wanted to maybe limit some of this YouTube traffic because it's one of the highest usages on this network, group usage about 161 megabits, and a couple spikes here, you can see how that pops up on the chart. We can actually create a traffic shaping rule right here on the access point. You do the same thing on the security appliance as well, but you can also do it on the access point. And all you need to do is go to configure and then traffic shaping, firewall and traffic shaping. We can create a new traffic shaping rule, and I see there's a couple here that are already implemented, allowing peer-to-peer, or sorry, denying peer-to-peer. And then here, if we wanted to, limit YouTube, let's see, that would be in video and music. And here it is at the bottom. I would just add in YouTube, and then, tone down that traffic on a per-device bandwidth limit. And then you can set in a specific bandwidth limit up and down if you wanted to do so. So that's how you do traffic shaping. And I think we're running a little tight on time here, so I'm actually going to run through the couple last slides I have. And I think we've been asking Luke all our questions in real time, so if you have any extra questions, go ahead and get them in, and we'll see if we have a second to answer any more at the end. So a quick overview of the other Meraki products. Our MR wireless access points, and Luke is using our MR16s. This is our 2x2. We also have a 3x3 or 1x1 spatial streams. And these come with a whole host of features. We were only able to cover a few of them today, but things like application traffic shaping, which we did go into, guest access. We also do wireless intrusion prevention and detection. These automatically mesh, and we have a complete webinar that actually focuses on these MR access points. The next one are MX security appliances. So these are the MX60s that Luke is using, and we also have, depending on how much bandwidth you're using, these scale all the way up to, I think, MX400, and which would handle a lot more traffic than the MX60. And on our website, it actually tells you the exact throughput usage for each of these if you're interested in wanting to know exactly which one you might need for your location. And these do the one-touch VPN that Luke was actually utilizing in his stores. We didn't go into this. We were running out of time today. But using that VPN from his MX400 at his headquarters to each of these 300 sites, WAN optimization built in, content filtering, and intrusion detection through Snort. And finally, our MS access switches, which we didn't talk about at all today, but these come with all of the same rich feature set, the same layer 7 application visibility and client visibility that we just looked at on the access points. These are PoE and PoE Plus capable on all ports. And once again, that same voice and video quality of service that we looked at, similar to that traffic shaping. And our systems manager that we did kind of touch on, and this is what Luke was looking at implementing on their new point-of-sale devices in order to utilize that two-factor authentication, in order to remote desktop into all of their point-of-sale devices. But this is our mobile device management solution, and no hardware is required for this. It's a lightweight installer on PCs and Macs, and then a profile that's configured on Androids or iOS devices, and it manages these devices from the cloud. And finally, we've talked about all of these issues here, but multi-site management, zero-touch provisioning, summary reports, and those seamless firmware upgrades. So we do free evals. So if you've seen any products that you're interested in, when you call your Meraki rep to confirm your shipping information, ask about some of these other products if it might be fit. We do free shipping both ways and no money down. So definitely ask about some of these other ones if you think it might be a good fit for your solution. Okay, so I think I wrapped up very quickly there. I think we're almost at the top of the hour, so we might not have time for any other questions. But really appreciate Luke joining us today and giving us some really great insight on how he's actually using this in real time and some pretty cool use cases for how he's able to use this technology live for troubleshooting. So thanks so much for joining us, Luke.
No problem at all.
All right, thanks everyone. See you next time.